Shalom, friends. We now come to the last part of the account of the series of the miracles of Jesus. As we open chapter 9, we encounter Jesus healing the paralytic. Jesus offers two gifts to the paralytic. First, the gift of a healed limb, and then the gift of forgiveness. So there is a physical gift of physical healing, and then the spiritual gift of forgiveness. Jesus proves that He has the power to forgive sins. Till then, people believed that only God could forgive sins. And when Jesus says that He forgives sin, they consider Him uttering blasphemy. Now, the physical, visible healing is an illustration of the spiritual, invisible healing brought through forgiveness. I would like to highlight two aspects from this story. First of all, the efficacy of the communitarian faith. So far, we have seen that one of the requirements, or the most important requirement for healing, is the faith expression of the recipient. In the case of this paralytic, it is the community that brings him. In Mark's Gospel, there are four people bringing him on a bed and lowering him through the roof of the house. And in this Gospel, there is an expression, when Jesus saw their faith. So it is not just the faith of the paralytic, the faith of the community. So there is this efficacy of the faith of the community. Secondly, the statement, they glorified God who gave such authority to human beings. Remember, Matthew does not say they glorified God who had given such authority to this man, Jesus, but to human beings. This is a pointer to the authority given to the members of the community, the church, to forgive sins. Jesus' authority to forgive sins is in fact available in the church. The church's ministry of healing and forgiving is now extended to the community of believers, the church. This is an extension of the ministry of Jesus Himself. The call of Matthew that follows is unique to the Gospel according to Matthew, because Luke and Mark, in their list of the apostles, do not tell us that Matthew was a tax collector. So the change to the name Matthew brings forward the authoritative figure behind the Gospel as one of the 12. What I am interested in sharing with you is the response of Jesus when He met Matthew. First of all, Matthew was a tax collector, and tax collectors were ostracized for a number of reasons. First, they were looked down upon like collaborators of Rome, the colonial power, and they are enemies of Israel. Secondly, their work brought them in close contact with Gentile people, which made them ritually impure. And thirdly, they had a reputation for dishonesty, as they would charge more than the law prescribed. Now, when Jesus called Matthew, the response was immediate and total. And Jesus joins the company of tax collectors and sinners for a meal. Matthew highlights the association of Jesus with marginalized and despised people. Gentiles were considered sinners because they did not know the law of Moses. Some Jews were considered sinners because they did not observe the law of Moses, either by immoral acts or because of their profession, like tax collectors or shepherds and so on. Because associating oneself with Gentiles and outsiders could contaminate them. And the meal that Jesus has with them is symbolic of the final meal when God shares His banquet with everyone else. So the evangelist legitimizes the presence and participation of all kinds of marginalized people in the community of the disciples of Jesus. Which means discipleship is offered to all those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, and not just for those who think that they are righteous. The third group of the miracles follow. Jesus gives health and life, sight and speech. Matthew combines the stories of the raising of the ruler's daughter and that of the woman suffering due to hemorrhage for 12 years. So Jesus brings life to the daughter of the ruler and gives life to this woman who was again socially ostracized because of ritual impurity. Look at the statement that Matthew makes about the ruler. Ruler tells that the daughter is dead, but he comes and prostrates, the word that I referred to yesterday, proskuneo, to show that he believes that Jesus is God. As we come to the climax of the healing stories, we come across two blind men and then a demoniac. Again, we find the faith of the individuals and the instantaneous result of healing. The exorcism concludes Matthew's account of the healing stories. Now to conclude, we see Jesus as a conqueror of sin, disease and death. He subdues Satan and the powers of nature, and the miracles point to God's salvation available to all people, especially the neglected, the marginalized and the ostracized. And we see this compassion of Jesus moving into His mission and the call of the disciples, which we will encounter tomorrow. Peace of God be with you all.